Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Christina, and I'm a mom of 5 kids ranging in ages from 18 months all the way up to 13 years. Today's video is a big one, like the biggest announcement probably since I started this channel. So I'm a little bit nervous and a lot of bit excited, and I've been dying to share this with you guys, and today is the day. So, where to start? I was gonna take notes for this video, and then I was just like, it was too much for my brain. I was like, I'm just gonna talk to you guys. So I have my coffee and I'm just gonna chat with you guys like friends. Not a lot of people know about the things that I'm going to share in this video, my family and close friends, and that is it. So, first thing is, if you've been following me here or over on Instagram, you know that I am or was a high school English teacher at a public high school where I live. I absolutely loved this job for a lot of reasons. It was actually my dream job. I worked really hard to get that job, and I talked to you guys a lot about this in my video when I was going back to work in person in the springtime. So I had been virtual last year up until April, and then I went back in person in April till the end of the school year. And I shared my heart a lot with you guys about how I felt about my job and how hard I worked to get it. And so if you're interested in that, I don't want to go into too much detail about that in this video, but you can go back and watch that because I really shared my heart about that job. I thought that I would be at that job until I retired. That was the plan. And so the first thing that I need to share with you guys, if you haven't caught on yet, is that I actually resigned from my position. All right, so we are going to officially clean out my classroom. This has not been my classroom for much of my teaching career. There was a move that happened while I was on maternity leave, and then there was the shutdown, and then I was teaching virtually. So I was actually only in this classroom about 2 months, and I didn't even really unpack much. So I never really made it home, and I think I never made it home, and it never really felt like home like my old classroom did. But I still feel like this is going to become more real, going here and getting all my stuff out. So it's an interesting mix of emotions, and yeah, we're almost there. Any thoughts, honey?
You got your professional mover?
Yes, I pulled him from his backyard duties and his mile-long to-do list to put this at the top of the list for today. So here we go. It's a video, honey.
Oh, I was posing for a picture.
I know. All right, last time leaving my Albany High classroom. It still feels a bit surreal, and I think will feel completely real once the school year gets started, which this week the school year gets started. So there's so much I could say, and so I don't want this to be like the longest video ever, but I want to kind of like share with you guys how things happened, where we are now, where we're going, and then obviously if you guys have questions, I would love to talk to you about it. So, little by little, for quite a few different reasons, over the last school year, I started to grow more and more discontent in my job. And I know at least part of that had to do with homeschooling. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in the best way, because homeschooling is my heart. Obviously, if you're following me, you know how much I love it. And so I just had the desire to like teach my kids and be with my kids, and I had often struggled with a weird feeling of like, I'm a teacher and I'm teaching all these other kids, but I'm not teaching my kids. Like, what do I do with that? How do I reconcile that? I feel like there are amazing teachers out there, right? But they're not me. They're not going to love my kids like me. So I struggled with that. And I had this deep desire of like, God, I just want to be home with my kids, like homeschooling my kids. And I know that's not a reality for all families. And for some families it is, and that's absolutely amazing. And so it was a dream that was in my heart, but I just didn't see it necessarily happening or not happening in the near future. And so I just want to put a little small disclaimer to the side and say, my husband would do literally anything to bring that dream to fruition and offered to do it over and over and over again. He would do literally anything short of sin, right? To make that happen for our family. And so I just want to put that out there and be as transparent as possible that those options, I wasn't willing to make those sacrifices. And I'll just give you a quick example of one of them. And there are many. I think I shared a while back that my husband used to be a national and international speaker and evangelist and would travel and speak, and that was his calling and his source of income. And when we got married and throughout, developing together as a family, we decided together that we did not want him gone longer than a few days at a time, and we didn't want him traveling alone. And so that being a full-time situation isn't something that we want. I feel like for our family, and listen, if this is not the way your family dynamics are, please don't think I'm judging your family dynamics or I'm saying our decisions make more sense than yours do. I am genuinely talking about my family when I say this, that as much as I feel like it is critical, crucial, needed, like with every ounce of my being for a mom to be with her kids as much as possible, because of our family dynamics, because of some of the things that my family has been through, I feel like it is just as critical for my husband to be here, especially for my older two boys. Like, again, my opinion and my belief is that they genuinely need him here as a male role model as much as possible. They don't need him gone for weeks at a time. So that was not something I was willing to do in order to stay home full time. And so there were so many things that we were like, this dream is in my heart, God, but I just don't know or see how this is going to work out. There were other positions that he was willing to do, and he does still speak, but again, just not full time. I just wanted to say that as a side note, that the things that he was willing to do in order to make that happen just didn't sit right with me. I didn't have a peace about them. I didn't feel like it was the direction for us to go in. Not that that's not the direction to go in for other families. I don't believe that it is one size fits all for every family. I believe it's God's perfect plan for your family, and that's for you to seek him about. It's not going to look the same for everybody. And I mean that, like, I truly mean that. So fast forward a little bit to the end of the school year and summer hits. And my husband says to me, are you so excited for summer? Because let's be honest, a perk of being a teacher is getting the summer off. If you have kids, you get to be with your kids all summer. And it's like being a stay-at-home mom for those few months, and it is priceless, like absolutely priceless. And I felt horrible saying it, but I needed to be honest with him. And I said, I am excited, but I have to get it off my chest that, like, I don't want to go back. And I don't know what to do with that because that's not realistic. And he's like, well, why not? Why isn't that realistic? And I'm like, here we go again. Because he's so good about being a dreamer and like jumping headfirst into things, and I am not. I like think things through, weigh things out. I'm all about the what ifs. And if I go too far in that direction, I can be a worrier. And if he goes too far in his spontaneous direction, he can be reckless. So we're like a really good balance and complement for each other in that regard. So that happens one day. I say, I just don't see it. And he's like, well, one of two things will have to change. Either God is going to move you in a different direction and he's starting to prepare your heart, or you're going to have to pray for God to change your heart if that's not what's going on. And I'm like, fair. I was a little annoyed, but I knew he was right. The very next day, like, I'm not kidding, guys, the very next day, someone reached out to me and said basically that the Christian school right around the corner from our house needed an ELA teacher and an athletic director / PE teacher. And they could not get myself and my husband out of their minds for those positions. As crazy as it sounds right now, my initial reaction was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, I love that they thought of us. This seems like this would have had been a dream in another time before we were homeschooling, or before I had this public school teaching position with benefits and a good salary and retirement and health insurance and job security, and I'm tenured now and all of those things. And I honestly said, thank you so much, and I'll think about it and pray about it, but I don't think it's for us right now. I talked to my husband about it that night, and he was like, wow. His reaction was completely different. He was like, that's amazing. We were just talking about this yesterday. And I was like, yeah, but like, we couldn't do this. And he was like, why not? And I was like, well, because like, we're homeschooling. We cannot both be working full time. Like, that is out of the question, not going to happen. There's no possible way. And he was like, well, what if the kids go to school there? And I'm like, no, like, we homeschool and I love homeschooling. Like, no, I don't want them to go back to school. And he's like, well, it's different. It's private school and it's Christian school. It's not public school. And I'm like, I know that. And I think that's beautiful and wonderful, but I love homeschooling. Like, that's it. Like, I'm not good with change. Like, side note. So he said, I think we should pray about it and look into it and see how we feel and not just completely throw it out the window. And I said, you know what? You're right. I think that makes sense. Like, let's do that. And so we took our time and we prayed about it and we talked it through, and we were on vacation as a family and we went for a walk on the beach. And it's interesting because a couple weeks before all this, rewind a couple weeks, I'm going to try to not make this so long, guys, but rewind a couple weeks, there was a visiting speaker at our church. It was Pastor Mike Todd, and he was talking about ripping up your list and this concept of we are missing out on blessings because we have a specific list of what we expect and what we want our life to look like. We have a plan. And so anything that doesn't line up with that plan, we just don't even consider it because it's not the plan. And he's basically obviously you should go watch the sermon. If I remember, I'll link it down below because I'm not going to do it justice. I'm not a pastor. But he was saying that if we want God's blessings in our lives, we need to rip up our lists because we'll weigh everything that presents itself to us, we'll weigh it against this list. And if it's not according to our list, then we miss out on the blessing. And I didn't think I really had a list, guys. Like, I'm going to be honest. I'm like, I don't really have a list. Like, I don't, right? I don't have a list. And so we're walking along the beach and my husband says to me, have you ripped up your list? I was like, I don't have a list. And he was like, you don't? And I was like, well, I guess the only thing, I have one thing on my list. It's security. I've worked my entire adult life for that. To know that no matter what happens, my family will be okay because I've done everything that I can do to make sure that we have security. And so he said, are you willing to rip up your list? And I said, I don't know, but yeah. And he said, all right, well, let's do it. So where we always go on family vacation, there's like a wall of rocks along the ocean before, the beach ends and the land juts out a little bit into the ocean. And we got to the end, and it might sound cheesy, but I'll remember this for the rest of my life. It was like a life-changing moment for me. And it was symbolic of like coming to the end of myself and what I've worked hard for and what I can do in my own strength. And I wrote my list, which was that one word, in the sand, and allowed the waves to wash it away. And that was symbolic of me ripping up my list. And I cried a little bit and hugged my husband, and we decided that we were going to see this thing through, not knowing still if it was the way, but basically walking through it and seeing what God wanted to do with it. To make a long story short, or longer, we actually found out that the athletic director position and the PE position is a part-time position that is just a few hours in the morning. That's a game changer for me that I would not have known had I just completely canceled it out and not looked into it any further. That changes everything, because that means we weren't both working full-time outside the home. So that was a relief. And it was so funny because the school was like, we really would love to have you guys, and we're sorry that we can't offer 2 full-time positions. And we're like, no, like, we actually like that it's not 2 full-time positions. Like, that's a huge deal to us. So we had to make this decision about, well, do we continue homeschooling full-time, because we absolutely can. So we planned on taking the jobs if they hired us and keeping our kids homeschooled, with one or more of our family members overseeing the kids at home for a few hours in the morning. We're blessed to have lots of family nearby, and it seemed like that would work just great. And then we thought about having the kids come to school with us, and at the same time, it was amazing, and at the same time scary, because I'm like, but I want to still homeschool. And my husband explained to me, he's like, yes, and I love it, and it's amazing, and the kids love it, and it has been life-changing for our family. He said, but it would be different if you were home all day with them. You're going to be at work, and they could be there too. And so we gave it to the Lord and said, we need you to show us. And at first it seemed like it was not going to happen for the kids to come. And I was fully at peace with that, because I had given it to the Lord, and I had said, if you want them there, make it very clear to me so that I know that we're making the right decision. I don't want to make this happen in my own strength, because I don't want to do it if it's not the right decision, because I'm completely at peace homeschooling the kids. So we accepted the positions, we continued to plan out our homeschooling year, all of the things. And then at the last minute, someone came through. We still don't know who you are. So if you're watching, like, you're amazing, and I'm not gonna cry, but an anonymous donor wrote a check. Whew. An anonymous donor wrote a check for our children to attend the school. I didn't think I was gonna get emotional at all about this, guys, but it's unbelievable to me. It's not a small amount of money. Now, I want to say this is not a prestigious, rich Christian school. This is a small, humble Christian school, which is why I'm excited to be there. I don't want to be at a prestigious school. I chose to teach high school in the inner city because that's what I had a heart for. And this isn't an inner city school, and it's not large. But that is what I love about it, is it's small. It feels like home. I remember walking through the hallways one day when we were working on the classroom and saying to my husband, is it me, or does it feel like home here? And he's like, it does. It couldn't feel more right. And it couldn't feel more right for the kids to come with us. It's just, God answered. Like, we gave it to God and he answered very clearly. I thought he already had, and I was at peace with that answer. I truly was. You guys know I've been planning to homeschool. I have all my homeschool curriculum. I have the whole year pretty much planned out. But that was undeniably God. Like, it was undeniably God. So I'm teaching 5th through 8th grade ELA, middle school ELA teacher. There's only one class per grade level. The classes are very small, and you guys know, if you've been following me, that I have an upcoming 5th grader. I also have 5th graders for homeroom. So my 10-year-old will come to work with me, be in my homeroom, be in my room for 40 to 80 minutes because it is a mix between a block and a loop schedule. And then he will go to gym with my husband. And here's where it gets really interesting, is another one of the reasons why I was like, maybe it's not best for the kids to come, is because it wouldn't have included my oldest, who you guys know is 13 and entering 9th grade this year. And then one day I'm looking on the website and I see that 8th grade, you have the ability to earn 3 high school credits. You can take high school math, high school earth science, and high school level Spanish. And all of a sudden, a light bulb went off and I was like, oh my goodness. Do I have him attend as an 8th grader, let him earn a few high school credits, and then almost do like a hybrid where I also homeschool him half of the time and allow him to get more high school credits? So the beauty is my 5th grader will be there. He'll start the day with me, then he'll go to gym, then he'll have the rest of his day. My 13-year-old, we are having attend as an 8th grader. If you saw the video about my 9th grade curriculum picks, I talked about how I've always questioned whether or not I should have waited a year to put him in kindergarten. He's always the youngest in his grade. He started kindergarten at 4 because his birthday isn't until November. And every single year I have questioned that decision. And every single year I'm like, I can't hold him back now. Like, all his friends will be in a grade above and he'll look like he failed, which he didn't, because academically he's very strong. But he's usually the smallest because he's a year younger than most of the kids. And so I'm like, this could not be more of a God thing, where he has the opportunity to be a part of what we're doing as a family, because I would not want him to be left out. And he's going to be able to not be the youngest anymore. And he's able to still earn some of his 9th grade credits, while at the same time doing some homeschooling with me to earn more 9th grade credits. So the way I'm planning on making this work for Justice is, for us, this will kind of be this interesting hybrid where he's like an 8th/9th grader. And then next year he will fully homeschool again and be a 9th/10th grader, and then go ahead on to do his 11th and 12th grade coursework. And probably by that point, he'll be taking college credits at the very same time. So we will cross that bridge when we get to it. My daughter will be in 1st grade there, so I won't have her in class, but I'll see her more because we're at a small school together. She will have gym with my husband, or PE, and my almost 3-year-old will get to go 3 half days a week, so he'll be there the same hours as my husband. It is perfect, because any more than that, I feel like he's so young and it would stress me out. And I know plenty of families do it and they do it full time, and that's great if that works for your family. For me, I felt like it was just perfect that he can be included, he can come with us, but also not be in school full time. So him, I will do a similar thing as Justice, although much lighter, which is that I'll continue to do some tot schooling and some 3-year-old preschool stuff with him. And he'll also have that experience of being there a few hours, 3 days a week at the school with us. So I will share more about that journey, how I'm gonna make all of that work in the days and weeks and months to come. But I wanted to share with you guys this huge, amazing job change that is like an absolute dream. I wanted to share with you our homeschooling changes. Although we are not fully homeschooling all of our kids full time, we are still going to be doing homeschooling. It's more of like a hybrid situation. And so that's one thing that I never would have thought possible had it not been for homeschooling, is realizing that you can customize and cater your family's education to what works for your family. And it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. So I will share in my goals video what my goals will be in this transition and how we plan to adjust according to these new changes, because they are still very new changes. Last announcement that I want to make today is that I am going to be changing the name of my channel and my Instagram page. So it will still be very recognizable. It is not going to be completely different, but it will have a small change to the name. The funny thing is for a long time now, I had kind of wished that I didn't name us Rooted Homeschool. As much as I love Rooted and as much as I love homeschooling and it's a big part of what we share, I kind of felt like I wanted to include more moms, more families, more people in general than just people who are homeschooling, because one thing that I've learned is that homeschooling isn't like this separate box. Homeschooling is like part of our lives. It's a lifestyle. It includes pretty much every aspect of our lives. And so I feel like if I was a mom that didn't homeschool and I saw this label homeschool, I would think it's not for me. I would think there's nothing for me there. I wouldn't feel included. And I didn't want that even when we were fully homeschooling. So I always kind of thought, I wish that I didn't include that in the name. But I was like, but it's weird to change it now. And so this feels like the perfect time. It makes the most sense to make that change. So it's not going to change for another week or so, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up that I will be changing the name of my channel and I will be changing my Instagram handle to reflect the changes in our lives this year. If you are here for homeschooling content, you are still going to get plenty of homeschooling content. I will be sharing lots to do with my preschooler. I will be sharing lots to do with my 13-year-old who's going to be doing that sort of hybrid situation. And we are still going to be doing many elements of homeschooling. We still are going to be homeschooling, just not full-time homeschooling all of the kids. Many of the things have just become part of our family culture. Things like read alouds, things like studying different things that they're not necessarily going to get in school that we think are important and that we want to study together as a family. So many of those things we'll still do. What's cool about it is it opens us up, because I am working full time, that when I come home and we have that time when we typically homeschool, there's a little less pressure because we don't have to cover all grade levels and all subjects. We can study what we want, we can study what we enjoy, and for Justice, we can study what we want to get him those extra high school credits for. So, homeschooling content, homeschooling curriculum, none of that is going anywhere. We will be sharing more of other aspects of our lives. So if there's things you'd like to see more of, definitely let us know down in the comments. I plan to show the classroom makeover. In the next week or so, we are doing a complete makeover to my classroom. It is coming along beautifully. As of right now, filming, it is not done. So as soon as it is done, I will share it with you guys. I'll be sharing more, like I said, in the days and weeks and months to come, but a lot of what I've already planned for my kids this school year, I'll be weaving into teaching at the school that we'll be teaching at. So a lot of those things will stay the same. Some of them won't. I actually have a friend that I'm walking through the process of starting homeschooling. So some of the curriculum that we won't be using because it would be too repetitive, like for example, 5th grade math, I'm not going to have my 5th grader go through a whole nother 5th grade math curriculum, but she was going to use it anyway. So she'll be taking that curriculum. And so I'll be sharing all these things along the way. If you guys have questions, please drop them down below. I would love to talk to you guys about this. Come talk to me over on Instagram if you're not already following me over there. For now, it's still at rooted_homeschool. We'll be sharing lots of day-to-day life like we always do. If you are not already subscribed, I would love if you'd subscribe. For those of you that plan to stick with us through these transitions, thank you so much. I truly love you guys. I pray for you guys. I'm so thankful that you're here. I love the connections that we've made. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help my little channel here on YouTube. I have some other really fun videos coming up this week. Tomorrow I'm sharing with you about our morning basket, which is typically a homeschooling thing and something we will continue to do. That's part of a collaboration. So you'll get to see how all different moms and all different family dynamics utilize morning basket and what's in their morning baskets. Wednesday, I'll be part of a homeschool goals collaboration. So that's where I'll be sharing some of our homeschool goals, but just goals in general for this school year. And I'll also do kind of like a goals recap because I shared my summer goals with you guys. So I'll let you know how I've done on those. And then Friday, I have a really fun unboxing. I'll be unboxing the Giggle STEM box, and there will also be a really fun giveaway that is going along with that. Just a reminder that yesterday I shared with you guys the Knowledge Crate unboxing, and the giveaway is still going on until Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Standard Time, so September 2nd. So if you haven't entered that giveaway, you can do that over on my Instagram. If you missed the unboxing, you can check that out from yesterday's video. If there are videos you guys are hoping to see, content that you would like to see on my channel, whether you've seen it before or you haven't seen it yet, please let me know down in the comments below. I hope to see you soon in one of my next videos, and until next time, stay rooted.
Smash that like button.